104.3 MYfm with John Comouche. Jake Wesley Rogers joining me today. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I know it's not ideal weather conditions, but it looks like you got some rain boots.
I got my rain boots
going on.
Kind of wet.
Yeah, we're not used to this here in LA. This is not like ideal conditions for
I
us.
know.
Where are you from?
I'm from Missouri, so I'm very used to weather.
Got it. Yeah, so you don't get just the sun all the time.
No.
And where do you live now?
I live in LA now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get that we just like don't know how to drive in the rain. We don't know how to do any of that.
It's a disaster. Yeah.
Is it true you lived in Nashville for a while?
I lived in Nashville for 5 years.
I feel like most of my friends that move to LA eventually end up going to Nashville. So it's interesting that you did the opposite.
I like to do things differently.
Yeah, I could see that. Why come to LA after living in Nashville?
I went to school in Nashville.
Okay.
I went to Belmont, studied songwriting, did all that, and I don't know. I feel like I learned so many amazing skills there as far as music and songwriting, and then all of a sudden I was in LA like half the year without living here, so it was like just time to.
What is the difference between like the music scene for a musician and artist in Nashville versus LA?
It is very, very different.
Really?
Yeah. At least I feel like how songs are made. Like in Nashville, it's kind of changing now, but when I was there, it was very typical. Like there would not be a producer in the room. It would just be like people with guitar and piano, and you just like write a song and then you go produce it. Mm-hmm. But obviously it's very, nowadays it's like there's always a producer in the room. You're making the song. Like you're making the master of the song.
Right. So like it's singer-songwriter first almost in Nashville. Is that kind of?
I would say, yeah. I think that's changing rapidly, but it was.
What's the best part about living in Nashville?
The best part it's a tiny little town. Like it's like less than 1 million people like in the main part of it.
It's so weird because like the name Nashville is so iconic nationwide that it's weird that it's not even that big of a landscape.
It's not big at all. And I had really beautiful memories there. I just kind of hit my limit with it. And I love to visit, but it's kind of like visiting an ex.
So now you're back in LA and you're in the middle of your tour now, right?
Yeah.
So when you're here in LA for your LA dates, are you staying at home?
I got to visit home. I let a friend stay at my house.
Okay.
Which I'm very happy to because I want my place to be
occupied.
Filled with love.
Do you have any pets?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I decided it's time to take care of myself.
Dude, I get you. I've been like, I really want a cat. I've been thinking about getting a cat for the longest time, but even that responsibility to me, it seems too much yet.
All my plants died when I moved out here, and I took it as a sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just taking it step by step.
I got to be home for a second, and it's definitely a tease, though.
So is this your first headline tour?
Yes.
How does that feel?
It's wild.
I bet.
I didn't know what to expect, but I've been opening for people for a while, and that's just a much different dynamic because I feel like there's a lot less pressure.
I was curious about that. Is it more pressure knowing that you're headlining a tour and people are coming for you, or is it more pressure opening for someone knowing that it's not your audience and you're trying to win them over?
I love that though.
Really?
I think that's a very fun challenge as a performer because you can always tell when you won an audience over. It's always different, but I just kind of live for that because I love performing. But headlining, it's really fun because you walk out and you're like, oh, I already won. Like they all just want to see me and hear these songs.
Yeah. So it's a little bit less pressure. You just go out and have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're up there, are you connecting to people in the crowd? Like, are you looking for reactions as you're singing these songs?
I do like to do that. Yeah, I usually take my glasses off so things are a little blurrier because it makes things easier. But yeah, I try to look out and it's just so cool when people are singing along.
I bet.
It still blows my mind.
That's got to be the coolest feeling, just being a singer-songwriter. You're putting your all into these songs, and then you're finally singing it to a crowd who's singing it back. I've seen videos just as loud, like louder sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. It's kind of surreal. It really actually is surreal.
So Pluto is the song that's taken off the most. Yeah. And is it weird that, was it 2021 that song came out?
Yeah.
And it's still having its moment 2 years later?
I know, it just kind of popped back up. That's the funny thing with TikTok and everything.
You just can never predict the algorithm.
Never.
Yeah. Is it does it still hit as hard for you as an artist?
I think it really kind of does. I haven't quite gotten sick of that song yet.
Really?
So I'm glad because
it's a powerful song.
I hope I don't because it's doing well.
I feel like one of the videos I saw of that song going viral. So was it Austin? And it seemed like was there a band behind you at all?
Well, our Austin show got canceled because it was outdoors and there was lightning.
Okay.
So everybody was sheltering in this, I don't know, little bar place. and we surprised them, and we went in, and there was a piano, so my band went in, and we just played piano and sang the songs.
So it was just like a DIY.
Yeah,
That's
I
gotta
just
be
felt
one
really
of-
bad. There's so many people there.
Yeah, but I feel like that just says so much about you as an artist that you just enjoy performing. And like as a fan, that would be one of my best experiences I've ever been to. You know,
And honestly, because it was funny, because we didn't know if we were gonna have to cancel it or not. We were just postponing it, and at the end, I was like, guys, I just found out that the show's canceled, and everyone, like, people weren't that sad. Like, it was like, no, this was great.
like we get it.
Yeah, like we're getting the show right now.
Literally thunder outside. I got my performance.
Yeah, it was cool.
Is
really
it
cool.
true? I kind of heard about this, but I'm not sure if it's true or false. That your mom did radio?
Yeah, she did.
Really?
Yeah, she was a DJ for
So
like 20 years.
Did you grow up in a radio studio at
kind
all?
of?
Yeah.
Honestly, did kind of grow up crawling around a radio station.
Did you ever imagine that you would be like on this side of the radio world, just kind of being interviewed as an artist? Like, was that always your plan?
Well, this has always been it for me.
Really?
So maybe it really fascinated me from an early age, though. Like my mom, being on the air and going to so many shows and just kind of always being around artists too. It was very clear from an early age, like this is what I wanted to do and
I
be a
bet.
part of. Yeah.
Are you when you go around to different radio stations, like, do you feel somewhat at home as you're going through that?
I think so.
Or is it so distant?
No, like my mom, like for a few years, my mom was on a morning show. So
No
like
way.
when I was really little, like some mornings I would just go with her and I'd be on the air. And
That's so
yeah.
cool.
She was in like rock radio in like the early 2000s. So
Yeah.
she's pretty legendary.
Does she still have like some of those recordings of you being on the air sometimes?
I have to ask her. Some of it was before digital, so it might be hard.
Right,
to get.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my favorite part of going
Yeah.
to like friends' family houses. You get to see the baby pictures,
Yeah.
and the moms get so excited to show you everything they have in the shrine.
Yeah, it was special, and she's just wonderful. And I called her on the way here, and I was like, going to her, and she's like, great.
You guys talk every day?
Honestly, yeah.
Is that what's that like, having a mom that's just so supportive? Like, is she one of your best friends at this moment? Like,
No, I'd say so. I think she just is. She's just the best. I don't really have words for her, but she's just
Yeah.
kind of the best, and has always supported this. My dad too, and that's more than I can ask for.
So when did the music lane start for you?
When I was like tiny.
Really?
It was abundantly clear. I just loved performing. Like I would just like put on some album I love, like early, like Christina Aguilera or like Sheryl Crow or something,
Yeah.
and just like dance.
Would you
around.
like imagine performing to a crowd?
Totally. Actually, my mom told me recently, like, 'cause I like on stage I just feel very free and I don't choreograph anything. I just kind of run around, and she was like, "You're literally kind of doing what you did when you were 4."
It's freestyling the whole thing.
Just kind of freestyling. You're just a lot taller now.
So you don't plan your moves up there at all?
I
you just
really
kinda
try
go
not
out there
to.
and-
let the spirit lead. Yeah.
That is so cool to
Yeah,
hear.
It's
How
fun.
do you practice for a headlining show?
Well, my band's amazing, and I've been playing. I met them all in Nashville. 3 of us have been playing together for like 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
But we've all known each other that long, so a lot of the preparation's obviously musical, like picking the set list and making the arrangements, and then the actual rehearsals. And I don't know. I tried to make a mix of like songs obviously put out that people know, and
Right.
I'm also like making my first album, so I want to put some new songs in there, and it feels like a pretty good mix.
Do you have a song that you enjoy performing most? Like maybe your new EP, Love?
Yeah.
That came out a little bit last year, but
Yeah.
is there one that stands out to you?
There's one on the it's actually the first song on the EP called Call It Love, which is really fun
Mhm.
to perform. 'Cause there's like this, all the verses are like spoken. It's
Yeah.
just
I
really
noticed that.
fun.
It's almost like
Yeah.
poetry in the beginning.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it gets into the lyrics and the song, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
this cool, moving
It's
experience.
fun. Yeah.
I also noticed that I think your EP came out, was it the same weekend as Taylor Swift's new
It was
album?
same day.
And she's
yeah.
got Lavender Haze, and you have a
She's
song called Lavender Forever. And I was like, that was so cool to me to see.
I know.
I like low-key have had you on my radar
That's so
because
sweet.
of Evergreen.
Oh, really?
Literally the longest time ago, I found
Wow.
Evergreen in some random playlist, and I like used to listen to it all the time.
That's so sweet.
And I'm sure it was like 2018, 2017, whatever
Yeah.
it was. But I was like, oh man, I really, really loved
Oh,
this.
Well, thank
So
you.
like sometimes your new music will keep popping up, and like I Pluto is just
Well,
like
thank you.
I can't get enough of it.
Thank you very much.
No,
That's so sweet.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
Evergreen's
it.
a fun one. We haven't been doing Evergreen live, but somehow during we just have a wild set,
Mhm.
and we always end up like singing a chorus of it somewhere. So it might pop up tonight.
So I'm so curious, as just seeing your live performances, your fits are just incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I love this. Where,
you.
like, do you shop? Do you get them made? Like, how does this come to be?
For performances, I usually work with a designer to like this tour. I worked with one person, Troy Dylan Allen, and I kind of had ideas, and he had ideas, and then he made all of them. But every day, I love vintage stuff, and I love.
So when you have an idea,
Yeah.
what is that like? What do you say? What does that look like? Are you drawing something? Are you just saying, hey, I kind of have this idea, and you
Yeah.
explain it? How does that work?
I usually have a pretty like rudimentary drawing
Okay.
of something.
Uh-huh.
Like the first outfit I come out, it's like big yellow puffy thing, and I kind of just drew something like that. I just wanted yellow, something like you walk out on stage and everyone's like, whoa.
And when it's done, are you ever like, that's exactly what I was thinking of?
Oftentimes, yeah.
Oh.
If not better, yeah.
Because
It's
I feel
fun.
like that's what I've noticed most from your TikTok, which, first of all, is crazy. I feel like you've really found a way to do TikTok so well.
Well, thank you.
Is that something you just stumbled upon, or like?
I don't know. I think everybody's had such an interesting, if you make a lot of content, it's such an interesting relationship with that. But I feel like I've been able to find a flow that like keeps me feeling sane, and also is able to like just use it as a tool to get my music out, to get my message out. And I try to treat it as that and not get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, and what I appreciate is that there's a lot of you on there too. Like, there's a lot of your music, but there's a lot of you.
Well, thanks.
Like
yeah,
how
yeah.
like I'm so curious about Today is Sunday.
Yeah.
That thing you had put on TikTok every single Sunday.
Yeah.
And so have you stopped doing that?
I decided to pause it because I did it for about 2 years.
So what was the
And I loved
reason,
it.
or how did that start?
It was a week after a very big breakup, and I wrote a poem called Today is Sunday.
Okay.
And then after that, I just wrote like everything I was feeling, and I posted it on Instagram. And then I eventually started making little TikToks, just like reflections on my week, and it was really beautiful, and I really, really, really loved doing it. And I wanted to pause it because I was starting to like not enjoy doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't ever want to do anything that I don't want to do. It's probably very Sagittarius of me.
Yeah. Wait, you're Sagittarius too?
Are you yeah.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
It's like, oh, I don't want to. But I think it'll be back. It was a special project for me, and I don't want it to ever feel like something that I resent.
That's forced.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you keep your passion with music that way? Because it seems to me that music's still a hobby for you. Like, you love it, you breathe it. But it's also now your career.
Mhm.
So how do you keep yourself loving music without losing the side of getting inspired by that?
You have to go back to the pure place
Uh-huh.
in creation, which is just, and that's actually what it's all about. The whole thing is just about the act of making it, and everything else is just like fun fluff. Like it's,
Yeah.
and so I really honor that. Like I honor my writing time and dreaming it all up, and I love making song. I love making art. I love writing poems. Like I just love it, and that's what I try to stay focused on.
What is it about writing that is so, I guess, like freeing or just exciting to you? Like, why is it the writing part the most that you connect with?
I think it's just I think everyone can relate to like when you finally hear something or say something that's honest and true. It's the biggest gift because it connects you to something higher than yourself, and I think music does that in the most profound way. It takes us out of ourselves and connects us to a deeper place, and I'm just kind of addicted to it.
Yeah, I get you. I feel like listening to music is my favorite because I feel like sometimes you hear a chorus or even just a melody, like lyrics or just music alone, and it triggers something in your brain that like words couldn't say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I
Sure.
feel like that is, I can imagine as a songwriter, especially when people are singing it back to you, you're probably like, they get it.
They get it.
Like,
yeah.
is it cool to feel like they get it?
Totally. All I'm looking for as a writer in the act of writing is to surprise myself. And that's like when I wrote the chorus of Pluto, I was like, hate on me. Like I was like, it really caught me off guard. I was like, why am I saying that? But I think those moments, those feelings in life where you get caught off guard by something or when magic happens.
What do you think is the most challenging part of being so open and honest and vulnerable in music? Do you still get scared of getting judged by your most honest feelings?
I guess yes and no, 'cause I feel like I have no choice.
Like, this is me now. I've already gone too far.
Yeah, but it's interesting 'cause like obviously music is what I do, but I also write essays and poems that I keep pretty private. I've kept pretty private. And on this tour of the Encore, I've been doing a spoken word piece, and that always makes me want to like throw up.
Really?
Because I feel like I'm just putting myself out there in like a new way that is very vulnerable. And however, it's been going over. I feel it's been going over extremely well.
I bet.
And my fans are really receptive to it.
I'm sure it's because
cool.
it's the most honest.
It's
and
very
that's what
honest.
fans love.
Well, I think that's what everyone loves. I
Yeah.
think we're in this age now where like we're just tired of people lying about everything about how they're feeling, and it's just time to be honest and
God.
authentic.
I hear you.
Yeah.
When you're writing something that you keep away that you don't show people, maybe the poems or a new song, what triggers you to think that, oh, this is something I should take to the stage now?
Usually just a gut feeling.
Really?
I feel like, yeah, which I feel like for my team can be very annoying 'cause like they'll be like, put this song, and I'm like,
I don't feel
no. And also, I'm the one, like, if this becomes a hit, I have to sing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
So, no.
You gotta love it more than anyone else does.
You have to love, and people are very smart, especially now. Like, people can tell when something's not real. So there's no point in putting something out that you don't believe in. It's just gonna make you die inside.
Because you're singing it every night on
Every
tour,
night.
which you're in the middle of right now.
Every night.
When
yeah.
you do get some days off of the tour, what does that day off look like for you? How do you detach from the tour life?
It really depends where we are. But
Okay.
for me, I think my favorite alone time is just when I'm in some like cafe or coffee shop or hotel room reading and sort of meditating and being very reflective. That's kind of my favorite thing to do.
It's like when you get the most in tune with yourself.
Yeah, and I think I just have to do that as a human very often.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you excited for the end of the tour? Are you like living in the moment, or are you kind of at this point now where you're like, I can't wait for this to be over?
No, I don't know. Like, well, I'll answer that with a little story.
Yeah.
The other night, my band and I, after our show in, I think, Phoenix, it was my piano player Mike's birthday. And for his birthday, he just wanted us to all go around and say, this is very dramatic, but he wanted us to say what we would do if we died in 12 months, which is heavy.
It's heavy, but it's interesting to think about still.
Yeah. And, you know, at first I was like, oh, like, I do want to go to Italy. Like, stuff like that, you know?
Right.
But then I, like, looked at my band and, like, thought about the shows, and I was like, I just want to do this.
Really?
Like, it was really a very peaceful moment for me that I was just like, oh, I'm doing, yes, there's other things that I want to do and experience, but, like, if this was it, if this was my last year, I would just keep doing this.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine who was like going under for surgery, right? And you never, I guess, know if you're going to come back
Right.
from going under. It's like slim chances, but you never know.
Right.
And he tours a little bit, and he put out this tweet. I guess there's this feature where it'll send a tweet for you, even if you don't. I guess you can schedule it in advance, right?
Right.
And he was like, just out of nowhere, just in case, right? If I don't happen to wake up, like I put this tweet out, and he was like, I am happy. Like, I'm loving what I'm doing. Like, I know I'm going to work every day, but I love it so much that I'm cool with it.
That's it.
And I feel like that's
so
how you know
powerful.
you found it. And it looks like you are really enjoying exactly what you do.
Well, I feel very lucky to say that, 'cause I also don't think I've ever had that much peace in my life.
Really?
Just, this is, like, if this is it, this is it. It's so beautiful. I love what I'm making. I love performing. It's really, again, what I was wanting to do when I was literally 3 or 4.
So
it's a
what's, when you're still thinking about it now, because I'm sure you're kind of living that dream now, what's the peak of this goal? Like, what do you think about now when you're dreaming about your future to come still?
That's a hard question, because I think I used to focus on that a lot more.
Really?
But I actually, I mean, I had this moment, I think it was in Dallas. It was a beautiful, like, sold-out show, like 400 people packed in a room. And I looked out and I was like, oh, if I was in an arena right now and it was sold out, this feeling would be the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, yes, I would love to get to that point where there are 20,000 people. Like, that's obviously a dream of mine.
Yeah.
Like, however, I knew for sure in that moment that it wouldn't magnify my happiness by 20,000. Like, that feeling will always be the same.
50,000, no matter
Yeah.
what that feeling of a crowd being in
Yeah.
front of you is.
If you're not happy here, you're not going to be happy there.
Oh,
I know that for sure.
that is
So I'm trying to be happy here.
that's really refreshing.
to
I
get
feel like
there.
that's when you find
Yeah.
the happiness.
Yeah, exactly.
I just saw this lineup come out for Love Rising,
yeah.
and you're on it.
I'm so excited.
How cool is that?
I'm really excited.
And that's in Nashville, where you used to live.
Yeah, it's a benefit show for some amazing LGBTQ charities in Tennessee. Obviously, there's some really terrifying legislation being passed, like banning drag shows and everything. So this is I guess an awareness show, and also to raise money and hopefully fight those bills.
Is this show going to be something different than you're doing on tour? Like, are you going to this with a different plan, a different mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only doing 2 songs 'cause there's obviously a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And there's a house band, but I'm going to do a very special performance of Pluto, I think.
A special one.
It'll be like stripped down with strings, and I think it'll be special.
The stripped down version is
Yeah.
always my favorite.
Yeah, of course, me too.
Oh, man. Well, I look forward to seeing that. I
Thank
seriously
you.
appreciate you coming through here.
Thank
it has
you for
been
having me.
awesome to meet you.
Yeah,
Jake Wesley
appreciate it.
Rogers.
Thank you.
Thank you.